All right, we're going to preview Wednesday's games in today's show. That's the Raptors and the Celtics and the Clippers and the Nuggets. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. We're going to be looking at Wednesday's games here, a preview of those games. So let's get stuck into those ones straight away, and we're here to look at Game 6 of the Raptors and the Celtics series. The Celtics, after a big blowout in Game 5, they lead 3-2. Of course, the Raptors now holding on for the rest of their season. They do have an injury to be aware of, and that's Serge Ibaka, who had an ankle problem in Game 5. He's listed as questionable. If he is out, I think they just have to push Marc Gasol a little bit more. You'll get some Waterboy Chris Boucher, and you'll probably get a little bit of Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, and they might mix and match those guys to see which one ends up being the guy that they want to go for. But in terms of other injuries, Gordon Hayward is still out for Boston, and that's sort of where we sit. On DraftKings, at point guard, Kyle Lowry is at 8,200. Now, he was rough, as most Celtics were in Game 5. Just 23 points for Lowry at 8,200 is a horrible return. Now, he's been playing a lot of minutes most nights, and if the Raptors are going to be competitive, he's going to play a lot of minutes again. So don't look at that 23 points in 34 minutes and think that that is what Lowry is going to do on most nights. He will be much better than that. He should be a 40-plus guy, and I think he's looking pretty good at that salary. Marcus Smart's at 6,500. That's too expensive for my tastes, while Freddie Van Vliet's at 7,500. Even in, a real stinker in Game 5, he still dropped in 34 points, which is not bad value at 75. It's not great, but it's not bad. I do think there is some value there with him. While Kemba Walker at 8,100, I'd much rather Lowry at 82. I think Lowry's upside is higher. I think Lowry's floor is probably a little bit higher most nights as well, so he'd probably be the one that I'd go for there over Kemba. With the blowout, Brad Wanamaker played 28 minutes in Game 5. He had 25 points. I would not be anticipating that level of playing time for Wanamaker. Shooting guards. Jalen's at 7,600. He was always poised for a bounce back after a terrible Game 4. He had dropped 42 in Game 5. I still think at 7,600 he looks to be in a good spot, so I do like that. While Stormer Norman Powell, who'd been shithouse most of the series, he got 31 minutes in Game 5. Again, blowout's part of it. He only had 23 points. I would not be expecting 31 minutes out of Norm Powell again, or for him to really be too much more than a GPP guy. But as a sub $4,000 player, for a guy that can get hot and can get extra minutes, especially if they do go without Ibaka, maybe they go real small and play more Siakam at the 5 and Anunoby at the 4, giving more minutes to Powell, there is absolutely a place for Norm in some GPP type lineups. For your small forwards, Tatum's at 9,300. Just absolutely love the rock solidness of his performances. 42 points in Game 5. He's got 60-point upside. I love him for cash. I like him for tournaments as well. While the Jedi, OG Anunoby.
Hello there.
But what about scarves?
OG.
Balenciaga
Stop,
ones.
OG. You better stop, OG.
The King of Scarves had 22 points last game. He's at 5,700. That's just way too high for me for Anunoby, and I just have no interest in spending up that sort of money for him. Grant Williams, no thanks. At power forward, at the big spots, we've got Pascal Siakam at 7,800. Continues to really disappoint. I'd only be throwing him as a contrarian GPP guy at this play. He did come down $300 to 7,800, but 17 points in 29 minutes. The games where he has good ones, they are so few and far between that I just don't know how we can rely upon him. As for reliability, Marc Gasol.
Oh, hi, Mark.
He's reliably bad at DFS at this point. 8 points in 14 minutes last game. He's averaging 16 over his last 5. I don't see any situation where we can really get excited or feel good about using Mark in a GPP type scenario. Ibaka's at 5,500. Disappointed last game because of the lower minutes, but prior to that, he'd been playing pretty well. I don't mind him for cash if we do hear that he's playing. While the Rock DJ Robbie Williams only played 9 minutes last game, he'd been playing much better than that. He's only always going to be a tournament guy, just in case he gets hot and grabs a couple of boards and blocks 4 or 5 shots in short amount of time, but that is obviously not a reliable way of getting those points or DFS points into your lineup. If you want to get delicious food into your stomach, DoorDash is the app that you need. You can be busy at home, you don't feel like cooking, you're teaching your kids with homeschooling and working from home and doing the laundry. So sometimes you don't want to sit there and have to make dinner. You can get the food delivered directly from your favorite restaurants straight to your door. DoorDash is that app that brings you the food that you're craving right now, right to your door. Ordering is easy. Just open the app, choose what you want to eat, and your food will be left safely outside your door with a new contactless delivery drop-off setting. With over 300,000 partners in the US, Puerto Rico, Canada, and Australia, you can support your local go-tos or choose from your favorite national restaurants like Chipotle, Wendy's, and the Cheesecake Factory. Many of your local restaurants are still open for delivery as well, so just open that DoorDash app and get your favorite local restaurant, make your order, and the food will be waiting at your door. Right now, our listeners can get $5 off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's $5 off your first order with 0 delivery fees when you download DoorDash in the App Store and enter the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's the code LOCKEDONNBA for $5 off your first order with DoorDash. If we look at FanDuel for this Toronto-Boston game, Smart's at 5,700. I think that looks okay for him over there. Tatum at 94 looks strong. Siakam at 8,000, no. And Lowry at 89 is, I think, a little bit too high. I like Van Vliet at 79 on FanDuel quite a bit. And then you got Daniel Tice at 56. I didn't really mention him on DraftKings. I don't think he's a spectacularly good play. Similarly on FanDuel, the 78 for Jaylen Brown looks pretty good there as well. Sorry for just smashing the microphone with my hand. All right, the next game we look at is the second game of the day. It is the Clippers and the Nuggets. The Clippers 8-point favorites. The total is 220.5 here. The Nuggets look like they might get that game 3, but the Clippers finally turned it on in the second half and got the victory, and they go up 2-1. This is game 4 here at point guard. The Blue Arrow, the headmaster, Jamal Murray, 8,600. That is just too high for me. Throw him in a tournament, sure, but he's averaging just 36 over the last 3 games. Those 50-point games from the Jazz series seem like a way away. Now, he's playing well. He's not playing 8,600 well, so I don't really like that. Patty Beverly at 36, 21 minutes last game. I think the minutes are going to get higher as we go on here, as Reggie Jackson and Landry Shamet continue to stink. So I think at 3,600, Beverly absolutely is your cheap price option that you can use. Lou Williams at 58. The minutes are coming up. The production really isn't. I'm not super sold on him. While Monty Morris and Reggie Jackson, Reggie Jackson, no chance. He had 0 points in 5 minutes last game. At shooting guard, the Beatle, Paul George, 8,500. Really like what he's doing at the moment. Really safe 40-point guy, it feels like, with 60-point upside. So I do like Paul George there. And then you got Gaz Harris. Nice, Gary! 29 points last game, 35 minutes. It's hard to trust him. It's hard to trust his shot and his offense. But I do trust the minutes are there, so that makes him at least a GPP option because you know he's going to play. While Torrey Craig, you don't know that he's going to play, so probably don't want to care about him too much. At small forward, Jeremy Grant just continues to play a shit ton of minutes and do absolutely nothing in terms of DFS production, averaging just 19 points over the last 5 games in 36 minutes. He's at 5,100. I wouldn't... he's just not focused. He's just not focused on getting anything offensively. He's doing a great job on Kawhi, but he's not doing anything offensively, and that's what we need for DFS. While Marcus Morris at 4,900. Minutes are up, the production's not, but I do think that he is at least worth a GPP guy because he can have these weird scoring nights. The fun guy himself.
I'm a fun guy.
Kawhi Leonard, the highest priced player on the slate, 10-3. No reason to think that he's not a 50-point guy, so I do think that's worth looking at. While Mick Porter had 40 points in 23 minutes. That is not the norm for him, but he can have those sort of games. We know that. He's just a tournament player at this stage. For your big fellas, Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic, 9,900. Love that as well. Really strong floor value for Jokic, who had 61 in Game 3. The table, Montrezl Harrell, got some more minutes. Didn't do anything with him. He's just not right where he needs to be, so that's a strong fade for me. Well, Zubats fouled out, and at 4,800, I think that's a little bit too expensive. Paulie Millsap's getting more minutes. He's not particularly doing anything with them, just 17 points in Game 3. I think that at least he's a tournament-looking guy, but that's really it. While Mason Plumlee and JaMychal Green, I don't really think anybody should be getting too excited about what they're doing. Yeah, Green's getting some minutes, but he's not really doing huge amounts with them, which is not a huge surprise. Built Bar, though, it's not a surprise that that's the best tasting protein bar you will ever find. It tastes just like a candy bar, and they are back with 6 new flavors. Caramel brownie, cookies and cream. I love cookies and cream. Apple almond crisp, carrot cake, lemon almond cheesecake, cherry barcia, and that's to go with the original 12 flavors that are back as well. All bars are covered in 100% chocolate. They are soft and easy to chew, and they are great if you're looking to lose or maintain your current weight while you indulge in a delicious treat, because they are low calorie, they are low sugar, they are high protein and high fiber, and it's great if you are on a keto diet. The coconut almond bar has 18 grams of protein and 180 calories only, with just 5 grams of sugar, and that's the same sort of ratio you get right across the board. If you go to builtbar.com right now and use the promo code LOCKEDON, you'll get $10 off your next order. So use promo code LOCKEDON for $10 off at builtbar.com. On FanDuel for that game, the Nuggets-Clippers, Jeremy Grant again at 5,000, no trust there. Jokic at 99 looks great. Murray at 85, not super sold on that one. I like Paul George a lot. I like Kawhi at 10-6 quite a bit over there as well. While Beverly at 48 loses a lot of the appeal that he has on DraftKings just because of that significantly higher price tag that he is currently saddled with. Guys, I reckon that'll do it for me today. Only the 2 games, of course, as there is every day of these NBA playoffs at this point. So I will let you go, but not before I tell you to subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, give it a review as well, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.